guys, today for First Impression Friday I'm trying out the new L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Matte Foundation, and this is what it looks like, and I have the colour 10 Porcelain. So it says on the back that the texture is medium, it has a high coverage and the finish is matte. Now I have a very oily forehead, so I just need to try and find a foundation that makes sure that my oils don't peek through, and I feel like this is going to be a really good thing to try out. And I did see this at my local boot store. It was on offer for I believe 3 for £2 and £7.99. It does retail for about £7.99 or £9.99 depending on where you get it from. It says that it has a new matte finish, it's lightweight, non-cakey and 24-hour matte perfection. So hopefully this will keep me matte for 24 hours. And there are only 6 shades in the range, and Porcelain is the lightest one that they have, so don't have a lot of shades for loads of different skin tones. So I'm going to be using my Real Techniques Miracle Complexion Sponge just to buff this into my skin, because I feel like this is the best way for really thick coverage foundations. I haven't actually tested this out in the shop, so I don't know how thick the consistency is going to be. So this is what it looks like when you open it up. It has sort of like a pointy applicator, and I'm just going to put some onto my hand. So this is what it looks like. It's like a thick medium consistency. It's still running down my hand, but it's not as thick as my Kat Von D Lock It Tattoo foundation, and it's not as runny as my Estee Lauder Double Wear. So I've already moisturised my skin, but I haven't primed it because I just want to see if this foundation is going to hold up the whole day with keeping all my oils at bay. So I'm just going to take my sponge and dip it in, and I'm going to work it in sections because I've found that with matte foundations it's best to work in sections. So I'm just going to do one half of my face just to see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like with half of my face done. I can see at the moment that it has covered up some redness and also some blemishes, but it's not a full coverage foundation. I feel like that it's a medium coverage foundation because it hasn't covered it up perfectly, but I think that the colour match is really good. It's very pale for my skin and it matches my neck as well. But I'm going to see what it looks like with 2 layers on just to see if I can build it up and if it looks cakey. So this is what it looks like with 2 layers on one side of my face, and I can see that my redness has pretty much been covered up almost fully, and also my blemishes have been covered up as well. You can see the colour difference. This is really pale. It looks like it's pink toned when I apply it to my face, but when I have it on my hand it looks like it's warm toned, which is a little bit strange, but it has managed to cover up everything that I wanted to cover up, and it hasn't looked cakey or anything like that. It does build up very well. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see the difference between my skin with no foundation on and my skin with the foundation on. So this is the difference in my skin. This side has a foundation on and this side doesn't. As you can see, I have a lot of redness and a lot of acne on here, and then I also have pretty much nothing on this side of my face. It's pretty much completely covered up. The skin tones do look a little bit different, but it does neutralise my skin, so it does look how my neck looks as well and how my skin would look if it was perfect. So I am really impressed with this. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side of my face and let you know what it looks like. So this is what it looks like with all of my face done and 2 coats put on. I have to say that it doesn't look cakey when I apply 2 layers on it, but I have noticed that it does dry pretty quickly. I mean, at the moment I can feel that it feels like a powder at the moment. It has already dried. It's only been about 3 minutes, I would say, and this side almost feels like it's completely dry as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, and I'm going to come back in a second, guys. Bye! Hi guys, so just finished my makeup and it's now 12:04 PM. So I am quite excited to see how this is going to look. I am quite impressed with it so far. I do feel like it makes me look really nice and flawless, and I really do like it. I'm going to come back in a couple of hours just to let you know how it's held up and if it looks any different after a couple of hours, and I will see you in a bit, guys. Bye! Hi guys, so I'm back and it's now 5:10 PM and I've had this foundation on for about 5 hours now, and I'm just going to give you a quick update to let you know how I think that it's doing. So I honestly am so impressed with this foundation. I have noticed that it has stuck to some dry patches on the side of my nose here and also on the front of my nose just here, but honestly it doesn't look cakey anywhere. And my skin looks absolutely flawless, especially from quite far away. It looks flawless. Even from up close it looks almost flawless as well, and it's done really good with the redness. On my chin I have noticed that my redness is peeking through a little bit more, but honestly my blush is still on. My forehead isn't oily. It looks a tiny bit shiny, but it's not oily at all. My blush, my contour, my highlighter, everything is still on, and I'm so impressed with the way that it's looking at the moment. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see exactly what it looks like. So this is what my skin looks like after 5 hours of me using this foundation, and honestly it looks so flawless. It's unbelievable. It's not cakey, and like I said, I do have some dry patches on underneath of my nose and also on the side of my nose, and it's caught the dry patches a little bit, but honestly my skin looks so flawless. It's incredible. My mum actually said that it looks like I have doll skin, which is really weird. But I do like the way that it's covered up my blemishes. As you can see, my blemishes are still covered up. There's only one here that isn't, but it's because it's quite red, and I just really like this. I think that it covers everything up. My skin looks flawless. My pores aren't as visible as they were beforehand, and it just doesn't actually look like I'm wearing any foundation, so I absolutely love it. Hi guys, so I'm back and it's now 6:45 in the evening. So I've had this foundation on for nearly 7 hours. So I feel like I'm ready to give you my final update and also my final review on this product. So even with this product on for 7 hours, I feel like that it looks so flawless. It looks like when I first put it on, I'm literally so impressed with this product. My forehead is not oily, and I haven't had any foundation come off my forehead, and that is so hard to find with a foundation. Honestly, you don't know how oily my forehead is, and I haven't actually used primer today either, and I haven't used pressed powder, which is pretty much amazing, and I'm so shocked that it hasn't got oily and it looks so flawless. To me it looks like when I first put it on, and that was 7 hours ago, it looks like I've literally just applied this foundation. It has come off a little tiny bit on my blemishes, and my pores aren't as accentuated as they are with any of my other foundations, but I have to say that this is done really well. The only thing that I would say is that the redness on my chin is quite bad, and also it's stuck to the dry patches on my nose, and also it's come off a little bit on here when I was doing my concealer earlier on. So when I was doing my makeup, after I applied all of my foundation had pretty much set within a couple of seconds, which is absolutely crazy. So you just need to make sure that you work very quickly with this foundation, otherwise you can end up doing what I did earlier, and I applied my concealer underneath my eyes and my foundation was completely set. Normally I apply my foundation, then I do my eyes and my eyebrows, and then I do my concealer underneath my eyes. And when I put my concealer on, it did come off of the patches where I put my concealer on, which isn't good for me because I do like to do a little triangle underneath my eyes just to highlight a little bit. So I feel like I'm going to have to use a different concealer, or I'm going to have to work very quickly. So I'm going to zoom in so you can see exactly what my skin looks like. So this is what my skin looks like after 7 hours of wearing this foundation, and as you can see from wearing it 2 hours ago and also when I first applied it, it does look pretty much the same. I mean, my skin looks still very flawless. I really love it, and also I haven't got a patch on the top of my head where my foundation has come off, because it hasn't come off, and also I just really like the look of it. My blemishes are still covered up and my redness is still going really well, and my blush, highlighter and contour are still on as well. So now I'm going to go on to the pros and also the cons of this foundation. So I've already told you a pro and also sort of a con with the fact that it dries very quickly. It's good because when you have a foundation, you want it to dry very quickly, you don't want it to transfer, and this one dried very quickly. Another thing is that it gives a flawless matte finish. Literally my skin looked like a porcelain doll. My mum told me that my skin looked like a porcelain doll. She says, you have perfect skin, you don't have any blemishes, no redness, nothing, and I actually do have a lot of blemishes. As you saw from when I first applied this foundation, I do actually have a lot of blemishes and a lot of redness, and this covered it up pretty much straight away. I had to use 2 layers of this product and it worked amazingly. It did a full coverage foundation with 2 layers, it's medium coverage with 1 layer, but still 1 layer is really good. If I didn't have so many blemishes, I think that I would have just stuck to 1 layer. Also, it doesn't look cakey and it builds up very well, but when you do build up, you do need to make sure that it's not dry. You need to work straight away with it, otherwise it can look cakey. When I first started out, I put it on my chin and I waited for it to dry, and then I added more because I did have redness on my chin, and then it just started to look cakey. So I had to use my powder on my chin and it started to look okay, but it is a tiny bit cakey on my chin only because of I decided to build up after it dried, and everyone knows that with foundations you can't let it dry and then build up afterwards because it just doesn't work. It does cover blemishes amazingly. Like I said, with 1 layer it was like a medium coverage, so it covered up the majority of my blemishes, but I had to use 2 layers for it to get to the red ones, but it worked amazingly on my blemishes, and it hasn't come off of all of my blemishes either. There are a couple that are peeking through, but these are just the bright red ones, so I believe there's like There's only like 2 that are peeking through out of all of my blemishes, which is absolutely amazing for any foundation that stayed on for nearly 7 hours. And also it almost fully covered up my redness. My cheeks were fully covered up and my chin was almost fully covered up, but I do have a lot of redness on my chin, so I'm not expecting lots of things to cover it up at all. I'm honestly shocked if anything does cover it up. Also, it does feel very soft to the skin, honestly. My skin feels so nice. You can't even tell that I have any blemishes. It's just lovely. My skin texture is just perfect, so smooth. I honestly really love it. And also it feels very nice and soft to touch. It feels like I have baby skin. It's amazing. You can't even feel the blemishes on my skin either. And also the colour match is pretty good. I mean, it is a tiny bit off. There's only a slight difference. I mean, it is a warm toned foundation, but I feel like I can pull it off. It doesn't look so overly crazy on camera, and it doesn't look overly crazy in the mirror or when I'm out or anything like that, but I can tell that it looks slightly different. It's not a perfect match, but it's really, really close. Another great thing is that I changed into a different top and it didn't transfer anywhere. Also, I spoke on my phone and it didn't transfer onto my phone, which is a big thing for me because I like to wear lots of foundations, and the fact that this didn't transfer is literally stuck to my skin. So I'm going to have to try and use loads of products, I believe, to try and get this off tonight because I don't think anything's going to make it budge. Also, you don't need to powder it and you don't need to use a primer either. I didn't use a powder, I didn't use a primer, and my skin has been matte all day so far. 7 hours, my skin has been matte. My forehead is the oiliest forehead in the world and it's worked really, really well. Also, it looks perfect like when I first put it on. Honestly, I can't really see any difference. The only difference is that a little tiny bit of redness on my chin's peeking through and the odd blemish is sticking out, but it's not crazy. I mean, like, I can't see it on camera sticking out, which is absolutely amazing. I honestly am so impressed with this foundation, and a great plus point for me is that it's only £8 as well, and that's full price. £8 for a foundation that stays on pretty much all day is amazing. I definitely think that it would stay on for up to 24 hours. I mean, 7 hours wear and it hasn't really come off, which I honestly think is perfect. And now onto the cons, and I only actually have a couple of cons about this foundation. Now, the first con is that there are not many shades in the range at all. There are only 6 shades, and I don't think that's very good. I mean, for instance, with people that have pale skin, there's about 3 to 4 different shades of pale skin, and then you also have the light mediums, and you have the mediums, and you have the medium darks, and you have the darks, and I don't think that everyone's going to be able to find a shade that's going to match them. Another thing is that the colour is a little bit off for me. This is the palest shade in the foundation, and this has a warm undertone, and to me, everyone that I know that has porcelain skin has neutral or cool undertones. Not anyone that I know that's got porcelain skin has a warm undertone. For people that have ivory skin, I know that they have a warm undertone or a neutral undertone, but for porcelain, I think this is a little bit darker, especially for people that are a little bit more pale than me. I just think that it's not really gonna work. You might have to mix it with a moisturiser, and this comes on to my other con as well. It does stick to your dry patches, so if you do have any dry patches, just make sure that you put a very heavy moisturiser on beforehand, and then it won't stick to them and you'll be very good. And the last con that I have is that it does dry very quickly. I mentioned this at the beginning of my video. Now, you do need to work very, very well for this because you can get very, very patchy. So you do need to work very quickly with this foundation. So overall, I feel like I'm pretty much obsessed with this foundation. It's my new obsession. I love the way that it stayed on my skin. I really feel like it's going to last 24 hours on my skin. Honestly, it's covered up my blemishes, it's covered up my redness, and it feels so nice and my skin looks so flawless. I honestly feel like this is going to be my new favourite foundation, and I think this might actually overtake my Estee Lauder Double Wear foundation, but I will do another review on this just so you guys can see exactly what I feel of this foundation after a couple of months of me using it, and if it has actually replaced any of my other foundations. But honestly, I feel like that this is going to last the whole day at work. I feel like this is going to last the whole day, and I'm quite worried about how I'm going to take this off because it just doesn't budge, it doesn't transfer. It's literally on my skin and it feels like it's stuck on my skin. I love it, and I can't actually feel it on my skin either. So I hope that you enjoyed this video, guys. If you have tried out this foundation, let me know in the comments down below if you liked it or if you didn't like it, and if it worked for you or if it didn't. And also, if you have a request for any First Impression Friday products for me to test out, just comment down below as well and let me know. Remember that I do actually still have a giveaway on my channel, and this is for my favourite primer for my oily skin, and I will link that down below for you just so you can check that out and enter if you want to. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure that you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in my next video, guys. Bye!